Meeting of Wednesday, November 5th, 2014. Can I have the roll call, please?
Salem Derby, Dan Hagan.
Present.
Jennifer Hayes.
Here.
James Kwasinski.
Here.
Joseph McCoy.
Here.
Dan Riss.
Here.
Tamara Smith.
Here.
Joy Winnie. Nathan Ziegler.
Will you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I have a motion for the approval of the minutes of October 15th.
So moved.
Second?
A motion and a second for the approval of the minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions on the 15th? None seen? Okay. Public speak time. I believe we have a guest with us tonight from NEMA, so we'll give you this opportunity to give us a summary of what's been going on
Sure.
for us.
Thank you very much, sir.
If you could just say your name for our record, please.
Sure. I'm Pat Carnevale. I'm the Regional Director for MEMA for Region 3 and 4. My colleague, Bob Berry. First of all, I want to say thank you for allowing us to speak in front of the council. I greatly appreciate it. Mayor, thank you as well. I just want you guys to know that back, and I don't remember the date because October 8, 9, because Chief Matter woke me up so early in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning with his phone call, and I wish he was here so I could torture him a little bit more. But really, you need to be aware that Chief Matter's, I tease him that he woke me up, but obviously his role was critical for the community. He made the phone call to me. We immediately, I sent Bob, I was going to the eastern part of the state as I do many times, and we were able to get somebody out here and work with the team. And when I say the team, our region covers 161 cities and towns, so we're Worcester West. So I get to work with some very large cities, some smaller cities, some real small cities. And your community should be aware that you're very fortunate with the team that you have in place. I'm out taking classes. I was out at the eastern part of the state today, and I'm taking classes out there right now. And we're going over some cases, and there's a case in Oklahoma, and I was telling the mayor about this earlier today. It comes from the top, and so I encourage you guys to continue to encourage your great leadership, because the mayor and the team that she has is extraordinary. There's a case in Oklahoma, if you remember, I don't know, it's about 6 or 8 months ago, and I should know, I just read the case, but I'm actually at Harvard, believe it or not, but I really don't belong there, but that's besides the point. But in the case, the mayor and the city council were pushing their public safety officials to get an emergency management team together. The fire chief, the police chief, the DPW, superintendent of schools, and they did. They got this team together and they did drills and exercises. Well, they were the community right outside of Tulsa, Oklahoma, that got hit with the 2 tornadoes right in a row, one right after another. And the second one leveling 1/8 of the community, taking out a fire station, police station. Obviously, your disaster wasn't to that level. But I think it's because of the mayor's leadership, along with Chief Matter, the police chief, DPW. That day when I was out here for 2 days, actually. Both days I came out. I got here later on the first day, and then I spent most of the second day out here. Your team is excellent, and I think the citizens of Easthampton should know that and should be aware of that. Because although, as I said to you, I get to have a lot of communities, and we're not going to get into the bad side of things, but there's a lot of communities out there where police and fire aren't getting along, where the mayor's having to, break up disputes, we'll just say, between police and fire. And that wasn't exhibited at all that day. Actually, what was exhibited that day was an excellent group of people working together. And that's why we're really here tonight. We're just here to let you know that Bob and I, as I say, get to cover a great deal of the state, and half the state, actually. And it was an honor to work with your community. It was an honor to work with your mayor, with your police chief, your fire chief, your DPW. Am I forgetting anybody else that was there that day, there, Mayor? I think that's everybody. Red Cross was helpful. And I should say our partners from DOT, obviously, with the cleanup. That cleanup couldn't have happened, without their support.
The other thing, there was some great mutual aid, other than state assets, that came to bear, too. There were some assets from the Hampshire County Sheriff's Department, Homeland Security assets, and also from a couple of towns. You've signed the statewide mutual aid agreement.
Yeah.
Westhampton sent over a chipper, and I believe Northampton did too. I think you had 2 chippers at one point.
So it's important. I just think you should be aware of that and be very proud of you. The citizens should be very proud of you guys as a city council should be very proud, and I appreciate your support that day, those 2 days.
Thank you.
If you have any questions for us, we'll be more than glad to answer them while we're here.
Yeah, we have a little bit of an open meeting law. I think we have to be careful. If someone has
Okay,
like
sure.
a simple yes/no kind of question for them, we may do, but otherwise, but thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Communications for elected officials, boards, and committees. Councilor Rist.
City Council should be aware that we received a recommendation from the Planning Department about the accessory apartment ordinance, Section 8.5, that is currently under the ordinance committees. It's in their agenda, and this recommendation was positive 4-0 in favor of the amendment. So that's for informational purposes. You should attach it to the ordinance when it comes forward for our consideration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Communications, Mayor Cadger.
I know that they've left, but I also just want to extend our sincere appreciation to MEMA. I've informed the board on how extremely helpful they were, and I think we all, as a community, appreciate their efforts.
Sorry, Mayor, you had a couple more things on your agenda. Did you want to talk about this?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were done. Okay.
Right. So you probably noticed something a little different on the under the American Communications, the request to establish a capital stabilization fund. And I know we've been talking about this a little bit during finance on some of the different things that we wanted to do. You're well aware of the different, the team that we have going on finance. And I also remember telling you about when we were doing, when we had our conference call regarding our bonding, our bonding issues and how favorable it was. Well, these are all different things that came up during that meeting. It was a very lengthy conference call with the auditor, the finance director, myself, and also our, our financial advisor. And one thing that we, came up on it is, we need to, do some more planning for the future. And I'm sure as counselors, many of you are aware that every year when we get free cash, a lot of times before we're able to use it for any of our capital, it's pretty much gone. So what this is to actually start a capital stabilization fund separate just for capital. So that is, you'll see later on there's a transfer request to put the amount of free cash into it. And what that is so that we can start having a stabilization fund exactly for that. So many years we've done capital plans and just don't have any free cash to use it. So this would be a way of planning for the future and having the money there separate from our stabilization. So it's definitely something that I strongly support, as does our auditor and our finance director. And again, it's just planning for the future. And I know we always call our stabilization fund a rainy day fund, but this would be specifically for capital projects so that we can plan to do those. And you'll start getting requests out of the free cash for different capital plans also, capital projects, but this is just, a way of just tucking it away. So we'll have the reserve, the regular stabilization, and the capital stabilization. So I hope that, I'm hoping you'll send it to Finance Subcommittee and we can discuss it, and any questions that we have, go over it thoroughly. So that's one of the things on there. The other item is to request an authorization vote to issue refunding bonds. And that is a way for us to save, like at this point in time, the interest is a little lower, and that'll be a way for us to, refinance in a bit to save some of the, the bonding fees. If you have any specific questions on either one of those, the vote has been prepared. Again, I'm sure that's something that you'll send to subcommittee so we can go over it in detail.
Are there any questions for the mayor at this time? The introductory? No. All right, Councilor Rist.
I don't have a question. I was just going to move to send both of these items to the Finance Committee for review.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second to send those previously mentioned items to finance for additional review and discussion. Any additional comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. Okay, thank you very much, Mayor. Rules and Government Relations?
No report this evening, Mr.
Okay.
President.
Finance, Councilor Hagan.
There's two, obviously after tonight we'll have more, but currently there's two matters in front of Finance. One is the review of elected salaries and other stipends per city charter. We've taken that up at a couple of subcommittee meetings, and I think we made a lot of progress at the last one, and I'm hoping that this coming Wednesday, which will be our next meeting, which I'll announce is November 12th, 6 p.m., that hopefully we can come up with some firm recommendations. That's my hope. And also the other item is the tax classification process, which will be covered tonight in the public hearing.
Okay, thank you. Public Safety, Councilor Hayes.
We need to schedule a meeting. Counselor Winnie is not here, so I'll get in touch with her and we'll make sure we schedule a meeting. We're supposed to hopefully receive packets back from the Planning Department and the DPW that we had given out for the street acceptance, and so far we haven't received anything back, but I did make a request to have Jessica, the city planner, follow up with the Planning Department so that we could get the information back so we can schedule a meeting, go over all of the notes that have come in on our proposed street acceptance and get it tidied up for the next round of approvals.
Now that you seem to be into the process, you should probably submit something to the city clerk, because right now it looks like your agenda is empty. And so it would be good to submit something to the
Okay.
city clerk what you're doing, so we have it on the agenda to discuss from there.
Will do.
Great, thank you.
This concludes.
Concludes, thank you very much. Appointments, Councilor Smith.
There's no report tonight for appointments.
Okay. Ordinance, Councilor Smith.
We have two things on the agenda. The first one, zoning amendment consideration. We are still in committee about that, and we need to set a meeting, and I will wait until the other two counselors in ordinance are here to do that. But tonight, I'd like to make a motion to set a public hearing at the November 19th City Council meeting, and this is for the Planning Board's request to amend Section 8.5 accessory apartments.
Second. Okay, a motion and a second to set a public hearing for November 19th, 6:15 p.m. related to the Section 8.5 accessory apartments. Additional discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. Property Councilor Ziegler is not here today, so I will just say I will make the report that there is no report, and that concludes. We have no old business. I think we have about a minute. We can probably get to this new business. We have a request for a street acceptance. Councilor Hayes, would you like to make a motion to move that to?
I would like to make a motion to move that to Public Safety Subcommittee.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to move the street acceptance for Jillian Estates subdivision to Public Safety Subcommittee. Any additional discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. Councilor Hagan, looks like next one would be yours.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to move a request from the Retirement Board to increase a COLA base to $2,000 under the acts of 2010.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second for the movement of the COLA base by 2,000 under the acts of 2010 to finance. Any additional discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. Why don't you continue to do the finance since you're right there? Just
Okay,
go.
I gotta read them.
What about the
Oh, okay.
easement to property?
Well, I was going to let him do all finance and go back to that.
I'll have to read them.
Okay, maybe we'll come back then. So I'll entertain a motion to open public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second to open public hearing. It's now open. I believe Councilor Hagan, you're in charge of this one.
Our only public hearing tonight is a matter of the tax classification. It's required under Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 56, that the City Council vote to determine percentages of local tax levies to be borne by each class of real property as defined under General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 2A, and personal property for FY 2015. Just as a little background, and I know there's some members here from the Board of Assessors. We did have two meetings in the subcommittee with the assessor, and He agreed with the board's recommendation, which he provided me a copy of their minutes. They wanted to keep things as we've had in the past of what's called a 1-to-1. So all property is taxed at the same rate. Business isn't taxed more than residential. And that no exemptions in the 3 different categories of exemptions are granted. Just a couple of highlights. New growth, I believe, was around 213,000. And there was a small increase in the percentage of commercial percentage to residential, but the assessor said this was mainly due to the solar on the landfill being put on the tax roll. So with that said, I think Mr. Davies is here at least from the Board of Board of Assessors, if he'd like to come up and say anything additional.
Just if you have any questions, I'm here just for that.
Is anyone from from the city, or for that matter, the public, who would like to address the council concerning tax rate classification? Okay. Any questions for the Board of Assessors while we're here concerning this?
No.
Okay, I guess not then. So, Councilor Hagan.
Okay, hearing none, then I'll make the following motion. I move that the City of Easthampton set a factor of 1.000 for the fiscal year 2015 tax rate, keeping a single tax rate for all classes of property, and to not grant an open space discount, nor a residential exemption, nor a small commercial exemption as recommended by the Board of Assessors.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second to accept the previously read tax classification. All those, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. I guess I'll entertain a motion to close public hearings.
So moved.
A second motion, a second to close public hearings. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. We can now continue back to new business, and I believe, Councilor Hagan, we were letting you go through your supplemental appropriations.
Yeah, I have 3 supplemental appropriations tonight. I'll do a first reading on all of them. The first one is dated October 28th, 2014. The request is hereby made for approval of the following appropriation. The amount requested is $18,845, and to be appropriated from the enterprise retained earnings and appropriated to the sewer capital trailer account. In that amount, $18,845. The amount requested to be used for the following purpose: to provide funds to the Sewer and Water Division to replace an equipment trailer that was purchased in 2002. The trailer is now rusted and in need of repairs, and which will exceed the cost of a new trailer. The new trailer is a 2014 Rogars 20-ton capacity tag-along trailer. And I'll make that in the form of a motion that it be sent to the Finance Committee for review.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second to move the supplemental appropriation of $18,845 from enterprise retained earnings to sewer capital trailer to finance. Additional discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes.
Second supplemental appropriation tonight is dated October 29th. Request is hereby made for approval of the following appropriation. The amount requested is $161,797 and is to be appropriated from free cash and appropriated to the General Stabilization Fund. The amount requested will be used for the following purpose: to replenish funds used from the stabilization fund for the fire contract, the police contract, and the purchase of a 1/2-ton quad cab truck for the fire department. And I'll make that in the form of a motion that it be sent to finance for review.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second for the supplemental appropriation of the $161,797 from free cash, general stabilization, move it to finance for review. Any additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes.
In the final supplemental appropriation tonight, I'll do a first reading, also dated October 29th, 2014. Request is hereby made for approval of the following appropriation. The amount requested is $520,000 and no cents to be appropriated from free cash and appropriated to the Capital Stabilization Fund. The amounts requested will be used for the following purpose: to provide funds to establish a Capital Stabilization Fund. And I'll make in a form of a motion that be sent to finance for review.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second to move the supplemental appropriation of $520,000 from free cash to the anticipated formed capital stabilization fund. Any additional discussion or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. Counselor Kwasinski, you're on property. I was wondering if you want to move that last item then.
There is an item for request for the installation of a sewer line under River Street, and I'd like to make that in the form of a motion that request for an easement be sent to property.
Second?
Okay, a motion, a second to move the request for an easement for sewer line under River Street to property. Any additional discussion or comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes. I guess I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion, a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes. See you November 19th.